Jules Vaughn and Rue Bennett from Euphoria are two characters whose connection feels beautiful, confusing, painful, and magnetic all at the same time. Their relationship often leaves viewers wondering whether what they share is a trauma bond, a twin flame connection, or something in between. When you look closely at their emotional patterns, their choices, their wounds, and the way they respond to one another, you begin to see that their story is not simply a teen romance. It is a psychological dance between two people who see each other deeply, but also hurt each other without always meaning to. Their relationship becomes a mirror of their inner struggles, their search for safety, and their hunger for love that feels real. To understand them, you must understand how trauma shapes people, how intimacy can become both healing and destructive, and how two souls can feel drawn together even when the timing and emotional maturity between them are not aligned. Jules enters Rue's life at a moment when Rue is emotionally vulnerable and terrified of the world. Rue returns home from rehab feeling empty, numb, and disconnected from herself. Jules, on the other hand, carries her own emotional scars from a lifetime of feeling misunderstood, lonely, and pressured to fit into a world that never seemed to give her space to be her true self. When they meet, it is not just friendship. It is almost like they recognize each other's loneliness instantly. From the very beginning, Rue attaches herself to Jules, seeing her as a source of light, excitement, and hope. For Rue, Jules becomes one of the few things that makes her feel alive without using drugs, which already complicates their dynamic. This is where the idea of a trauma bond begins to show itself, when someone becomes a coping mechanism rather than just a person you care about. As their connection deepens, Rue starts depending on Jules emotionally in ways Jules does not fully understand. Jules, who has spent her life craving affection and acceptance, loves the feeling of being important to someone, but she does not realize how heavy Rue's emotional dependence becomes. A trauma bond often forms when two people are connected through shared wounds, shared pain, or shared emotional chaos, and Rue and Jules fall into this pattern almost naturally. Rue wants stability, while Jules wants freedom. Rue wants someone who grounds her, while Jules wants someone who helps her escape. Their desires pull in opposite directions, yet somehow they keep being pulled toward each other. This creates a psychological push and pull effect where both of them feel the relationship deeply but cannot find a healthy rhythm. Jules sees Rue as someone she wants to protect, someone soft and gentle, someone who makes her feel loved without judging her. But she also feels pressure, because when Rue makes Jules her entire world, Jules begins to feel responsible for Rue's sobriety and emotional stability. This is far too heavy for someone who is still trying to understand herself. Jules never promised to be Rue's savior, yet she becomes that unintentionally. Rue, without realizing it, puts Jules on a pedestal. She sees Jules as the one thing keeping her away from drugs, which turns their relationship into something fragile and dangerous. When Rue leans on Jules too much, Jules feels trapped. When Jules tries to pull away, Rue feels abandoned. This cycle is one of the biggest signs of a trauma bond, a relationship where love and pain mix, where comfort and fear live side by side. But at the same time, there is something undeniably spiritual about the way Jules and Rue connect. A twin flame relationship is described as two people who reflect each other's deepest strengths and wounds. They see each other in a way no one else can. Their connection feels intense, immediate, and almost faded. Jules and Rue have that intensity. They can read each other's emotions without speaking. They feel magnetically tied together, even when they try to walk away. Their bond has a softness that feels sacred, but also a fire that feels uncontrollable. Rue becomes calmer around Jules because she trusts her. Jules opens up around Rue because she feels seen. A twin flame connection does not always mean they are meant to be together forever. Sometimes it means they are meant to trigger growth, healing, or transformation. In many ways, Jules becomes a mirror for Rue's emotional instability, while Rue becomes a mirror for Jules's desire for freedom and identity. They force each other to face parts of themselves they often avoid. Still, the truth is that their relationship struggles because they are both in pain. Rue's addiction, depression, and fear of abandonment make her cling to Jules in ways that overwhelm the relationship. Jules's trauma, identity struggles, and emotional restlessness make her pull away in ways that confuse Rue. They love each other, but they do not love each other in the same way or at the same pace. Rue wants certainty, and Jules wants possibility. Rue wants to feel safe, while Jules wants to feel free. These differences do not make one of them right and the other wrong, but they create emotional friction that neither of them knows how to manage. When Rue relapses after Jules leaves for the city, It shows how fragile their connection is and how much pressure Rue placed on Jules without realizing it. When Jules later expresses that she wanted Rue to want her, not just need her, it highlights how emotionally uneven their bond had become. Psychologically, what they share is a combination of both trauma bonding and twin flame energy. They come together because they see each other's wounds, but they struggle because their wounds do not fit together in a stable way. They love each other deeply, but their love is full of fear, pressure, and miscommunication. Rue's intensity scares Jules, and Jules's unpredictability scares Rue. Their attachment styles clash. Rue has an anxious attachment style, needing reassurance and closeness, while Jules leans more toward an avoidant style, needing space and independence. When these two styles collide, it often creates hot and cold behavior, emotional confusion, and heartbreak. Yet despite all the chaos, their moments of tenderness show why people root for them. When Rue looks at Jules, you see someone who feels safe for the first time in a long time. When Jules looks at Rue, you see someone who gives her permission to be soft, emotional, and honest. Their connection is not fake. It is not superficial. It is real, but real does not always mean healthy. Some relationships teach people how to love. Others teach people how to survive. And some teach people who they are. Jules and Rue fall into the last category. They love each other, but they also trigger each other. They comfort each other, but they also complicate each other's healing. They might feel like soulmates, but soulmates don't always stay together. Sometimes soulmates are lessons. Their story is powerful because it shows how emotional connection can be both beautiful and dangerous. Trauma bonds make people feel attached through pain, fear, or shared emotional chaos. Twin flame connections make people feel attached through deep recognition and spiritual intensity. Jules and Rue experience both. They are two people trying to love each other while drowning in their own struggles. They want to be each other's safe place, but they cannot be safe for someone else until they learn to be safe for themselves. Their bond is not simple. It is the kind of connection that makes your heart ache and your mind spin. It teaches the viewer that love alone is not enough. You also need timing, healing, stability, and emotional balance. Without those things, even the strongest connection can fall apart. In the end, Jules and Rue represent a kind of love that feels real, raw, and unforgettable. They show how two people can change each other's lives without necessarily being meant to stay together forever. Their connection is a reminder that healing must come from within, not from another person. Whether you see them as trauma-bonded or twin flames, one thing is clear. Their story is a psychological portrait of two souls who needed each other, loved each other, hurt each other, and helped each other grow in ways they never expected. Their relationship is not about perfection. It is about humanity. It is about the messy, complicated, emotional truth of what happens when two wounded hearts collide and try to build a world together before they have learned to build one within themselves.